Hello once again. Welcome everyone to the African Tech Gurus. Of course, this is your number one channel where learning is by doing. We try as much as we can to ensure that you understand the concept. So here today, we had another video this morning. We were trying to explain the content review of our ALX Hello World. That is your first day in C programming. And some of my friends have been asking, how can we know that code has run as expected? Like, for example, I write a code that say hello world. How will I be able to understand that this code is giving me the right output as expected? So I try to use the GCC to explain how all the process go until you get to the final output. But still, I will be able to show you how to be able to write your first code or your first hello world program. Let me say so. Your first C program, if I may say so. Okay, to this one, I will just, first of all, I will be using terminal to explain some few things. I'm writing the first C program in shell terminal. So first of all, let me list file. So you see that there is no file that I have here that's related to C. So what we have, first of all, the first thing is that we have to create. So we're creating a file called hello world. So in that code, remember one thing is that your code should have an dot extension called .c. So if it's hello world, it has to be hello world.c. Let's try to create. I'm using VI editor. So VI in this case, and then I say hello world.c. So when we say vi hello world.c, we are creating the file name, and then we click I to go to insert mode. This will allow us to type our code. So let me type our code. I will use include. And what is include? I will use include stdio.h like that. I will do like that. That's my first line. That's my first line of code. And that is my first line of code, and we need to come to the second point whereby I'm trying to write some comments, maybe to describe what the code do. So first of all, you have to understand that include is a preprocessor command that tells the compiler to include the content of stdio. So this one is a preprocessor command that will tell our code or compile, it will tell our compiler to include the content of this in our code. So it will include the content of this, maybe this file, which we don't know where it is. Okay, it's come up with the compiler. So it happened is that it tells that one include the content of that file in our code. I believe that one is well understood now. So let's come to the second part where we're writing our comments. Remember, comment, we say that comments are the part of the C program code which cannot be executed. So the more important thing of comments is to help us have a good readability of our code. For example, you write today code, and tomorrow you're coming back to check your code. So you need to have a way you need to be able to understand your code. If you write today code, you will be able to understand your code even tomorrow. That is the best way of how coding happens. Or in the case whereby you share your code with your friend, will your friend be able to understand what is going on in your program? So that is now the importance of comments. But let me tell you that comments can never be executed in this case. They are just for your own readability. They are not part of the code. So let me write comments. So this is how we write comments in C. So I'm sorry. Let me use this way. So I will do that one like that. And then I will describe the first function that I will be using in my code, that is main. And then what does this mean? Main, I will say this is the entry point. This is the entry point. When I say entry point, this is where my code begin. My code will begin from main function. Whenever your code whenever a compiler encounter main function, that is where your code will begin. And then what will this function returns? That is, I will use void, so it will return 0. So I will say return 0. Sorry, like that. That is, my code will return 0. So I close the comments like that. So I come to the second, that part where I will now be introducing my function called int main. Remember, I described the main function here. I described the main function here at the top, and then now I'm calling the same function. And then what will it return? It will return void, meaning it will return nothing. I'm sorry, let me remove this space. This will give us an error. Like that. Yes. So then what will be in that particular function? Now that we have called a function, what will be in that particular function? I'm sorry, there's something here at the top. I never closed that void. Let me close that void after main. Yes, there. Then I do like this. I believe now it's okay. Yes. So let me write. I will be writing another comment to explain what am I doing next. That is, what I've been doing next is print align. Or let me say like that. Print align. I don't want a lot of stories. Let me say print align. So how will you print align? In C program, we will be using printf function. What's printf function? Whatever we are asking our compiler to include the content of this, in the content of that, it will allow us to run the print function. So in print function is what will be, it is included in stdio library. So if let me come here and say, let me say print f, and what are we printing? This is when now we input what we are printing. What we say we are printing is hello world. Hello world. Welcome to African Tech Gurus. Like that. And then I close like this. But don't forget one thing. Print after this end your code with a new line, meaning that /n, meaning that it's going to the next line. So if you come and print another next line, it will print a new line. So like that, and then you close like this, and then you use a semicolon to terminate the statement that is called statement terminator. So after that, I'm done with that. So after I am done with that, what next? I will write a return. I will write return. Let me enlarge this a bit. Yes. So I will write return. I'm sorry. Return. So return, meaning that we say void. So it will return 0. There's a space between that one, like this, and then you say 0. So that is, and then we end with a semicolon. Remember, semicolon is the statement terminator. And then we come here, we close the curly bracket. Remember, we are closing this one with this one. So up to that point, we have written our simple line of code in hello world. So what next? Now that we are done with this, we have explained every comment, we have written this one, and we have tried to understand that this printf is what is included in stdio library. So let's exit. So escape and then :wq, you exit the VI editor. So when I'm here now, we can list file and see that I have hello world.c file. Let me try to see if we are getting the output. I will run GCC and then I'll say the file hello world.c. Hello world.c. That is the thing. So I click on enter, and able to tell me that nothing happened. You're worried, nothing happened. I list file, and you will notice I have another file called a.out. A.out. What do we have in a.out? It is executable file. Remember one thing, it is being compiled, all the processes until it come with something. We are expecting to see hello world, welcome to African Tech Gurus. So that is now a compiled file, no, an executable file that contain our output. So in this case, let's check what is in that. So /, that is in that directory. When I do /, in that directory a.out, and then let's see. Oh, wow, it's worked. So it says that hello world, welcome to African Tech Gurus. But you might be wondering, what steps has this code taken until it come to a point it is giving us the final output? That's the biggest question people will be answering, will be asking, how did this work? Yes, you might be interested in the output, but what stages has it take to the point whereby you have achieved this hello world? Let me show you. I will take you through what you see on the other side. That is, you see preprocessor, compiler, assembler, linker, executable file. Until the point executable file is what we have a.out. For example, we have a.out is an example of executable file. C code at the top here is the hello world.c file. But what we have not done is pre-processing, compiling, assembly, and linking. What happened in between hello world.c to a.out? What happens in between? Let's try to understand. If we try to understand, I will just use the first. So the first thing is that the code, when you have your C code, what happened is that it is being pre-processed. When it's being processed, how does pre-processing happens? Pre-processing happens in when you use GCC like this, but you stopped at E, meaning that you are creating a pre-processed file. So that is E, and then which file are we pre-processing? We are pre-processing a file called hello world. Remember, the end goal of this is we get the same output as this one, but we want to go through all the stages. We want to get the same output as this one, but we'll go through all the stages necessary for compilation. So .c. So we have this one into preprocess hello world.c, but redirect. I remember you did redirections in shell. So redirect, instead of showing on my terminal, it will create another file, and the preprocess file or the preprocess output will be stored in that new file. So I will redirect using dash or redirect that output into another file called hello world. I'm sorry, hello world.c. I'm sorry, not .c, .i. That is now, it will be a pre-processed file. So hello world.i. Then enter. So if I list file like this, you will notice that I have hello world.i. You might be interested to know what is inside this hello world.i. bi hello world. I want to check what is inside this hello world.i. Oh, it's a lot of things that seems does not make sense. So this is now the pre-processed file. When that hello world file is created, it will create a pre-processed file like this one, as you can see. So now that is our hello world, but it's now in pre-processed. I'm sorry. Let me escape this one like this, and then I escape. So now you have seen the output. Now, next step. Okay, what happened in the pre-processing is that we include header files. This, remember when we talk about stdio. In this point, this is where now stdio will be included. Second thing, this is the point whereby comments will be removed. Remember, we talk about comments that only increase our readability. But at this point, pre-processing stage is where comments are now removed. They are not part of the code. They are removed. Code is being cleaned to remain with only what is necessary. So let's come to the second stage, that is compilation. We need to compile to generate an assembly code. So how do we compile? How do we compile our code? That is the second stage. So we use GCC, but we stop at where? We stop at S. That is now compilation stage. And which file are we compiling? We are compiling hello. We are compiling what we just created. Hello world.i. I'm sorry. Yes, .i. So hello world.i. That is what we are compiling. So we don't redirect. It will create another file by itself. So with list file, you will notice that I have another file called hello world.s. Nice. So next thing is that at this compilation stage, so we have this compilation stage, and then what next is the assembling, that is assembling. We use the assembler. So when here at the assembling stage, okay, first of all, let's check what is inside this .s file that you have found. So let's vi hello world.s. So when we do that, you will notice that there is a lot of code. Somehow they may not make sense. It says it's a string, hello world African text, this one. Seems may not make sense. It type main is a function. Seems may not make sense to us. But anyway, that is the function of our compiler. Let's know what it is about that. What you have to bother use that's the stages. How does it happen? What is being generated? What is being generated here is now the assembly code. So we have the assembly code. Let's exit like this. Let's go to the next stage, that is now assembling. Let's assemble. Now that we have assembly code, let's now assemble so that we can generate a machine code. So how do we do that? GCC dash, but we are stopping at C, that is assembling. We are assembling to generate a machine code. What are we assembling? We are assembling hello world, but .s is .s, the last file, .s, and then enter. Oh, let's check. We will notice that we have another new file called hello.o. Awesome. This is now a machine code. Okay, object file is an object file. So now that we have an object file, what's next? We come to another stage called linking. This is when we link now the static libraries with our object code. We are having an object code linked with the static libraries to come up together to bring in what you call executable code. So how can we do this? Let's do it like this. Okay, first of all, let me try and see what is in this object code. Object code will say vi, our editor, and then hello world dot oh, what do we have in it? Okay, it's something seems not making sense at all. A lot of things that is not readable. Let's escape like this, like that. So let's come back here. Let me clear my screen. Seems a lot of code. Yes. So now we see that we have a file called hello world.o, but we need to create an executable file now out of this. How can we do this? We say GCC like that. That is, we stop at O, but at the same time we are redirecting it into a file called hello world. Allow me to call it hello world, but has no dot any extension. It doesn't have any extension. We cannot say dot whatever. It does not have any extension. So hello world, I am redirecting it into another file. So the executable file which will be created here will be hello world file, which will contain our output as hello world. Welcome to African Tech Gurus. So GCC dash or, and then we are into another file which we call hello world. Which file are we linking? Which file are we linking? We are linking the last file, that is hello world.o. That is what we are linking. So we link that one to create an executable file. So let's list file. We list file, we'll notice that we have hello world file. So, and then you notice that the color has changed. Why? It is now an executable file. Since it is now executable file, let's check the content of it. /, meaning it is in the same directory. And what are we checking? Hello world, like that. And then I click on enter. You will see that hello world, welcome to African Tech Gurus. Is it the question is it the same as saying a.out? Is it the same thing? Yes, it has brought the same thing as this, but this one we just create it automatically. When you use, we just say GCC without specifying any point and give the name of the file, it will go up to the last point. It will go from here code, it will go from code up to the last part executable. C code up to the last part executable. But when you go step by step, you will understand what processes do compiler go through until to the point that it's able to give us the final output, that is an executable file. Remember, executable file is now readable, is now what you and me is able to understand. Now that we wrote a code, we are not worried about what happened behind the scene, but what we're interested in is how are we able to get hello world, welcome to African Tech Gurus. Finally, we have achieved that. I believe that one point in our code when I was writing code, that is vi hello world.c, like that, you notice there's something called return. What does return 0? Some point will be as return 1, other point will be as return 0. Return 0 shows that your code has executed successfully. So it will return a non-zero number if your code does not execute successfully. So that was all what I wanted to pass across in terms as far as the first day of Hello World is concerned, and writing your first Hello World file, or writing your first C program file. Now we have written our first C program file, and I've shown you all the stages it takes to get the final output. It has been amazing, guys. See you in the next video. Please don't forget, do us a favor. Do us one favor. In as much as we promise to serve you every other day, please subscribe to that channel and hit on notification bell so that next time we post a new video, you will be notified. Please don't forget, it takes only 1 minute or even less than that. Subscribe to our channel. African Tech Gurus, where learning takes place. Bye-bye.